Alright, first off, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Shalom to the brothers in the highways and byways pushing this word in all sincerity and truth. The sisters, the believers, the helps. Shalom. This is the brother Aaron from Jamaica Cap, coming with another quick lesson. And this lesson is based on I was reading a book called The Daily Stoic, and one of the reoccurring philosophies or points that keeps coming up is the fact that they one of the main things they focus on is to not focus on what you can't control. And I was going through I had an experience while reading the book that same day, of being angry or upset, about something that I couldn't control, and it brought back that saying to mind, and then to how perfect the day actually worked out. It definitely reminded me of this scripture and show that we have control over nothing. We should always trust in Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Right? So this is on Proverbs 20 verse 24. It says, man's goings are of the Lord. How can a man then understand his own way? And that is true. Right? We have to remember that there's no free will. We don't have there's nothing of our own will. Everything always boils down back to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Right? And what had happened was I wanted to actually go to another parish by a certain time, trying to I initially planned to get there early, but it didn't work out. Then I was expecting to get something quick to get there. When I finally got a vehicle, I had to be sitting there for almost an hour before it left, and I was like, this is gonna mess up my day, not gonna get there in time, and just being miserable about the whole entire thing. And I was reading the book, and then immediately I come like, hey, look, even though you may be upset, you complaining and being angry over this doesn't change the fact that you will still have to sit here and wait on this vehicle to go before you can get to where you're going. Right? And that's the thing. There weren't any other options, or there weren't any viable options. There wasn't any. It was just like, hey, look, this is the situation, and I was always out of my control. But what was in my control, which most times, if the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua is with you, is the fact that you can examine yourself and examine the mindset. Right? Because guess what? Why would the Lord have that happen? Right? It could be that if I left earlier, I would have been in some form of problem. Maybe I would have forgotten something. Maybe I would have met in an accident. Hey, who knows? Maybe I would have seen somebody I shouldn't see, or it could be whatever the reason was. The Lord had me there at that time. And sometimes we have to think about that we may plan things and we may go a certain way, but the Lord just has it work out a perfect way. Then when I actually got to the parish, I got to where I was going. When I went, there was no lines. Got through in about 20 minutes, what I had to do was, that 20 minutes was pretty quick. Then I called my brother and asked and told him that I was gonna meet up with him. Then instantly, I called my mom. She was saying that she wanted to see me, whatever. End up going there, planning to meet up with the brother. Didn't get to meet up with the brother at that time, but after that, end up getting some. Everything just, it was like things that I needed to get done were actually happening based on what I didn't plan on doing. Everything just fell into place. So I didn't get to see the brother. The brother was the second thing I wanted to get done. That was the last thing I ended up doing. Had a small chat, had a drink. Then it just, everything worked out perfectly. And I thought about it that with each step of the day, even though I wanted to do A, the Lord had it where something else came up and I had to go B. And the second thing that happened, I was saying that, look, this is the Lord guiding me, because why did He let it play out this way? And I remember how I was actually behaving when I was waiting to leave out with the taxi or with the vehicle, and it just said that, look, the Lord actually had it going that way. And then when I was going home, I was saying that, hey, I couldn't get a vehicle to go back home right away, and I had to, go through a few steps, but it was just effortless. you know got the first vehicle, went ahead. By the time I got the first vehicle, I got the second vehicle, straight ahead. By the time I got where I was going, straight ahead. Everything was just streamlined when I was even expecting some form of difficulty. And everything just worked out so perfect, where it was just a smooth day, right? And none of that it was in my control, right? That is why the scripture also says this in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 10, verse 23. It says, O Yahweh Shai, I know that the way of man is not in himself, it is not in man that walketh to direct his steps. And that's the truth. That is why sometimes you find yourself in situations, sometimes we tend to try to control the narrative. We should, yes, we should act in wisdom, but when you act in wisdom, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're trying to control everything around you. You might say something and expect someone to respond good to it, where they respond the opposite, but so you say something away that you don't expect someone to take offense, and they do take offense. It might be a case where you planned something to go one way, went the opposite direction. And also, whatever you do, don't try to control the situations. Just ensure that you're filtering everything through the Spirit, and directing back everything to your Yahweh Shem Shai, and just wait on the Lord to just show you the way that you will go, regardless of how the person would feel. Because if you should really try to focus on controlling things, if it doesn't go the way that you had hoped or that you wanted, then you're gonna more relying on your own strength, or relying on what people think, or how people do or want people to work according to your will, even though your will might not be in line with what Yahweh Shemir Shai wants. That's why the scripture says what the heart is wicked, is desperate. Let me see if I can find that one. The heart is wicked. Right. Jeremiah 17 verse 9, it says, the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? And that's the thing, that is why you don't want to rely upon your own mind. You don't want to rely upon your own self. You definitely want, in all situations, give honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Just know that, hey, alright, this is the situation. Yahweh Shem Yahushai, show me what to do. The scripture says that, we should be careful for nothing. And especially in the days to come, you might think you're running away, and Yahweh Shem Yahushai end up having you in a situation where you get caught. Maybe the Lord wants you to glorify Him in death, or maybe the Lord is bringing you down that part to maybe heal someone, or convert someone. Who to tell? In everything there will be something that is tied to the Lord's will. So we need Yahweh Shem Yahushua as our shepherd, so we should let them guide us through the Spirit. And how we do that is we filter our situations through the scriptures, and apply them regardless of how someone might react to it, or regardless of what the situation is. That is also us, trusting in Yahweh Shem Yahushua and let Him do what He is supposed to do, instead of trying to to fight the narrative. That is how some people go off. That is how people misspeak. That's how they get yourself in you get yourself in a jam spiritually, when you try to move away from the Spirit. Because that's also another way how we try to control things. Lord willing, if they will receive it, just like when we go on the highways and byways, we speak the truth as it is, and depending on what they want to hear or forbear, that's their business. Same thing with the temptations that we will be facing. We're going to place into a situation where it's either follow the flesh or follow the Spirit. We apply the scriptures, regardless of how bleak it may look, or regardless of how what one may want to play out afterwards. We don't have control over that. Only thing we know is that the Lord gave us showing us how we need to conduct ourselves and let us know what is acceptable from what is not acceptable. We just need to do what is acceptable through the Spirit, right? And everything will play out as it should, or how the Lord wants it. Right? Many a times it happened. You see it happen with Joseph. Brothers sold him, you know, got in Egypt, got himself to a level. Potiphar, his wife, told a lie on him. Back to the dungeon. The years pass. Then guess what? The dream happened with those that were in prison with him. Afterwards, one the person, the one that lived, forgot about him. Pharaoh had his dream. That came up, and then what happens in the end? He becomes second in Egypt, and then the first thing that started with his brothers putting Joseph selling him in slavery, is, as he said, is just so that he could save the nation of Israel. Because with him in that top position, then it would be easier to to preserve, to ensure that we had food and all of this, being in our small state, in that time. Whatever was the case, that he tried to run away, try to go back, try to defend himself, or say like, hey, you know what, might as well sleep with this woman because she's gonna tell a lie on me, and then I'm gonna get myself in and then Potiphar is gonna be upset. Maybe things would no. Exactly, she's gonna tell a lie on Potiphar. Might as well I just lay with her, and everything will work out properly. But guess what? We know what the stance is as it pertains to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. So regardless of how bleak it was, he just followed the Spirit. And that is what we should be practicing right now, with our building that spiritual relationship with the Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, so we can understand that nothing is in our control and we need to follow that Spirit. Alright. Next precept is in James. Right, this is James 4 verse 15. It says, for that ye ought to say, if Yahweh will, we shall live and do this or do that. Right? So that's the thing. Well, let me start up. It says verse 13, James 4 verse 13 says, go to know ye that say, today or tomorrow we will go in such a city, and continue there a year, and buy and sell and get gain, whereas ye know not what shall be on the morrow. For what is your life? It is even a vapor that appeareth for a little time, and then vanisheth away. Exactly. We don't even have control over our own lives. So how is it that we're trying to control situations? It's just to know that whatever situation you're in, practice to apply the precepts and let Yahweh Hashem Yahushai take over. Don't try to soften the situation or control the narrative, or try to be on everybody's good side, or to purposely go on everybody's bad side. Just apply the precepts as needs be, as raw, and it will play out. Just walk in the Spirit, right? It says, for ye ought to say, if Yahweh Hashem Yahushai will, we shall live and do this or do that. But now ye rejoice in your you're rejoicing in your boastings. All such rejoicing is evil. Therefore, to him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him it is sin. Exactly. So that's the thing. If it's a case that you're going to boast and say, oh, I'm going to do this, or all of that, you trying to control the narrative is basically bringing up evil. Like the scripture say, what, let your years be years and let your nays be nay. Because guess what, when you try to say whatever cometh after that is evil. Because when you try to say anything outside of yea and nay, which there's an exception to the rule, as there are some situations which requires more detail, but you don't just go ahead and just give detail. If it's either yes or no. Did you do this? Yes. If the person asks why, then you can go ahead and say why. But don't try say, all right, I did this because, and then you try to justify yourself. Because guess what? You're trying to control that narrative, or you want to paint the picture a certain way. Now, as I said, that you are supposed to be wise, supposed to be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove, and you have to be cunning, just like Paul, said that he was a Roman, you know, things like that. Not saying that you should be simple and not move with wisdom, but at the same time, don't try to control the narrative. Just ensure that you're walking in the spirit. And I hope this is clear. I hope this is making sense. And I pray that this is edifying, and I pray for this spirit as well to ensure that I don't try to control things, just to walk in the spirit. And I suggest that us of the you brothers of the hopeful elect as well, go ahead and pray to the Lord to give you that spirit, so that we will be on the side. Peradventure we receive salvation. So with that, all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Makar Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Shalom to the brothers in the highways and byways pushing this word in all sincerity and truth. The sisters, the believers, the helps. Shalom.